and students this morning. Thank you for joining us at the Right to Read's, the second edition. And we have three wonderful people with us, Sheetal Dubey, Agairo, and Nina Matthew. I think two of the authors are familiar people who have been with our children the last edition. Agairo is all the way in Canada, and she's up very late. It's very late in the night for her. What I want to tell you this morning is it's very important for us as a community to come together to teach our children to read. I think literacy is not about extracting knowledge. It's about co-constructing knowledge. So children need to be able to work with people, adults and others around them, with their peers, and put together their ideas and thoughts. Because finally, if you're not interacting with people, how can you write for people? People are the audience. So I want our children to be read to by parents and by teachers and leaders and different kinds of people. Because when children are given this opportunity, they will raise questions. They will ask questions. They will explore texts and characters. And as a little child, very often I had wished when I was learning poetry, I wish I could talk to the poet and understand what he really thought when he wrote this, rather than having the teacher interpret the thoughts of the poet. Children today, because of Zoom and such platforms, are having the opportunity to interact with authors and illustrators. And this is something I wish to continue for our children and our parents right through the year. So you can look forward to a third edition sometime in June when the first term comes to a close. But most importantly, I think it's important for all of us to take the responsibility of telling stories. So it's not the stories only that come out of the books, but stories I think are very, very powerful as legacies of handing something down to children, of making them engaged enough to listen to you while you're narrating the stories. As a child, I remember when I was around 3, my grandfather, he would have been 112 tomorrow. He used to keep teaching me all about Shakespeare. And when I was 3, I would just rattle off the names of the books, Two Gentlemen of Verona, Macbeth, Hamlet, whatever. And I was excited that I could remember. And he was excited that I knew the names. I was not really planning to be a teacher or an author or even take up English as a subject of study. He died, I think, in 76 or 77, and I wasn't even decided what I'm going to do. But I think it was that initiation into these stories that stayed with me, that made me explore as I grew older. I studied Eliot and I studied Wordsworth and I studied Moliere and Tchaikovsky and Tolstoy. I was reading books and I was relating to those characters and understanding, and somehow that shaped me as an individual, because regardless of whether it's the past, the present, or the future, you need to know the thoughts of people and you need to become fluent enough to relate those stories. So I want us to take responsibility for literacy. Literacy is not something that happens within the walls of the classroom. All of us are responsible for helping children construct that knowledge. Parents, leaders, authors, alumni, peers, anybody, grandparents. And the more children see you reading and see books around them, that's a magical space for a person to grow in. And knowingly or unknowingly, they imbibe vocabulary. They are able to apply it in the right context. And that is what I want for our children. That's what I want for all children. So in our school, we're twinning with 14 schools around the world as of now. And I want to take the right to read to all of these schools. I don't want just to plant a legacy and plant trees and talk only about climate literacy. I want everything that I do in our school to be available to all the schools we're twinning with. And I'm quite ambitious. I've told my teachers I want to twin with 100 schools in 25 different countries. And we're working towards that. And I want to take everything that we do to as many children as is possible around the world. Because unless you're really inspired and passionate, you can't bring that change. And I was excited yesterday on Twitter when a parent wrote, "My child is looking forward to the right to read." And you can be rest assured that we are as excited bringing the right to read to you. So we have three wonderful people who will share their ideas and thoughts. Sheetal Durve is a artist as well as an author, and she will share her perspective on how she's working with children in our school to become little illustrators, teaching them about watercolors. Agairo is an author who's really close to my heart because she writes about values like caring and sharing and looking after the planet and not giving up, all of those things that are so important. And her character Bentley Hippo is going to be our school's mascot in the coming year, and you will all hear about him as soon as you get back. I am so very excited to have Agairo. And finally I have Nina Matthew, who is as passionate as I am to bring change to children around the world. She's working with our children on the Climate Diaries project, and we're very grateful to all three of you. So may I invite Agaro to share her thoughts, and then I will invite each one of you to share your thoughts with the children. Agaro, you're on mute.
Am I still on mute?
No, you're audible
okay.
now.
It's an honor to be here, to be invited to take part in this this event for today and also moving forward. I'm very passionate about the values that I bring through my books, in that I am an author that's a little bit different than most children's book authors. Most of them write stories and then they give them to an illustrator to illustrate. For me, I went through a little bit of a rough patch in my life, and I would always doodle. So I would draw something and, just build on it. And that was my release of keeping things inside and how I expressed myself. And so I ended up, as the years went on, I worked on this little character, and I thought, he's the one that has to pass on all these messages to parents and to children, the values, because I saw as the years went on that there was a sense of entitlement for a lot of kids, and they distanced themselves from the actual values that I was raised with, which is your kindness and your respect and loyalty and friendship and kindness. And so I wanted to bring that back. And I did it through a character, and I named him Bentley. And he happened to be a green hippo, and I made him green for going green, being for the environment. So that was on purpose. And in order for him to have a distinctive look, I added some running shoes, which the kids absolutely love about him. So my books are about values. I'm going to continue that route. I'm not going to change my path. I've recently started up with, collaborated with a few other authors on kindness to all, and that will include what I call the 4 areas, which is kindness to each other, to our planet, to animals, and to ourselves. So that's what I'm working on and hoping to move forward, and looking forward to working together with you and your students.
Thank you so much, Agaro, and we can't wait to get started. So may I invite Sheetal Durve to share her thoughts?
Hi everyone, it's such an honor to be here, and it was lovely listening to Cairo as well, and Asha, you too. So from childhood, I have been a lot into, I'm an artist, so I have been, very passionate about art, and writing came much later. But again, the love of reading, it's right from childhood. I really love to listen to stories actually. So as the years went by, just listening to the stories from my grandparents, from my parents, I think that helped me so much to, at certain stories you relate to incidences, you relate to uh, things that have happened, with you. So they just stay in your mind, and you can actually, relate and do so many things with it, I think. So for me, reading has been an immense change in my life. And both my books are fantasy books. One I could say is the Dream Diaries is a book of 3 short stories. I think I've already, some of the kids in the school would probably know about that. But the characters are very relatable, yet there are certain dreams that you have, and as children, and you can, my whole perspective about bringing the values and dreams, working towards your dreams, working hard. So there are a lot of things that kids, you can tell kids, like as parents, if you tell them to do certain things, it's sometimes, everybody knows children are not like, always don't listen to parents. But when you relate to them with stories like these, I think the values can be brought out in such a wonderful way, like the characters in my story are very relatable, but yet the things that are happening with them are based on fantasy. So it just gives the kids a little bit of, excitement, I think. At the same time, there are a lot of values and morals. Each story has a moral at the end, and I've given um, questions for the kids. So I have not written the morals myself, but I've given the kids uh, the, freedom to think about what kind of moral are you learning from the story. So my whole idea is to just get more kids to reading and enjoy the story, enjoy every aspect of creativity that they can.
Thank you, Sheetal. It's such a pleasure having you here. And I must tell parents that Sheetal has been working. She's done a workshop in watercolor painting with our children, and she's trying to work with children to help write a book. I want our children to have this experience, to be able to think like an author, to create like an author. And though there are teachers of English in classrooms trying to teach children language, I wanted this experience so that children can not only read, but be inspired to write stories of their own. So thank you, Sheetal, for having brought watercolors and your ideas of story creation to school. I'm sure the two blend together well, and our children are definitely going to benefit from this.
Thank you.
May I welcome Nina Matthew to share her thoughts? Nina, you're on mute.
Thank you, ma'am. It's such an honor to be here with all the incredible people over here, the parents, the students, the teachers, and most of all, Miss Asha Alexander, ma'am. You are like, you are the principal, and you have taken such great initiatives for your schools regarding reading, regarding writing. Now, these are two aspects where most of the schools grapple with it, even today, how to generate that reading habit in the children, how to generate that writing habit in the children. And here you are leading from front and organizing such programs like Right to Read. And I'm really thankful for giving me this opportunity, trusting in me to conduct reading sessions and the writing workshop for your children. So I'm extremely grateful for that. And let me tell you, my experience with the kids has been amazing. It's like outstanding. The reason being, the very first day when I took the creative writing, they were so aware, extraordinarily aware about everything. And that speaks volumes that, these group of children, they take reading seriously. I mean, it's like an everyday habit. And where does that everyday habit come from? It comes from leaders, it comes from the teachers who train, and it comes from even the parents. I'm sure that all of you are working in tandem to bring in this habit. And when I moved on further with the creative writing workshop, they were instantly so vocal about their thoughts. They were building each other up, collaborating, and whatever. And there were no inhibitions. That's what I liked the most, because I am not a familiar person for them. And being, at that comfort level, it speaks amazingly about the leadership and the activities that take place over there. I mean, you don't have to even say it. Your children speak for themselves, the way they interact in those writing workshops. So
Thank you,
I can
Neema.
only
Thank you so much for your kind words. What I want for children is to read responsibly and responsively, and relating to the text. I want them to be able to decipher their own lives by understanding the characters and how people feel. When you create characters, some person is putting some thought into creating those people, and they're using those characters as uh, the messengers to carry their voice and their ideas to the world. So children should be able to uh, read books and to relate to these characters, because in some way they'll be able to decipher their own lives. They will be able to connect what is happening in different parts of the world, in different books, to different characters, and find relation from that to their own lives. As a leader, I think I need to impress upon parents and children, reading and learning how to read and write should not be limited to school time. It should not be that you went to school and you learned how to read and write. Yes, that's part of what we do. But literacy is so much beyond that. Literacy is the songs you hear, the plays that you watch, the drama, the words that are used around. So if a child grows up with a rich vocabulary, hearing parents use wonderful words, when they hear, they watch programs on TV, they sing songs, they listen to somebody reading a piece of text, they listen to news, they read stories, they become really proficient, and they are able to use the language with facility. Ultimately, that's what I want with literacy. Give them the language so that they can express their own thoughts and their own ideas. They can say exactly what they want. They can state an opinion. They can make a case for something which they believe in, and stand up for what is right. These are the things that we need language for. So language is not something I want children to learn only in that English lesson and get an A grade. You can't do anything with that A grade. What I want for them is know and love the language, to be able to express their own ideas and thoughts. That is the purpose of education. And they can get that only when they read. The common words that they use in school, they already know. But I want them to understand that words have nuances. You use certain kind of words in certain sentences, that structure can be changed, and they can only understand that if they read different genres of books. So right from comics to magazines, to articles, to newspapers, to storybooks, children should be encouraged to read different kind of material. And it's not just the teacher and the school. If you really want your children to be proficient users of the language and to be able to express their thoughts and ideas, every one of us in the community is responsible. And I'm trying to build this relationship with the community, bring in authors, bring in people from diverse areas, so that you as teachers and parents and students can see and share and learn from them. And they in turn can be inspired by you. Many of these authors are going to go away thinking, oh, that's a good idea. I could perhaps write a story on that, because you're working with children. And it's a collective responsibility. I want the right to read to become not just a stepping stone, a springboard from where you will continue helping your children read throughout the year. I will make available books of all kinds and all genres in the school, online. I will not let your children be living in a poor environment as far as books are concerned. I would like them to write their own books. I would like them to publish their books. I want them to see that anything they aspire to is possible. And we have to use the books and stories and make our environment, our homes, print rich, buy books. We buy so many things for children. When I was a child, the first thing, if I got money or pocket money, I wouldn't go to the mall to see a movie or buy a burger or, buy new shoes. I would be running to the bookstore to get the books. You should be so impassioned that you must be wanting to discover the world that you should feel the need. This is how you grow. You ask every politician, every statesman, every orator, every person, public personality. They've acquired their vocabulary. They've become people of stature because they have read. And they have read a lot. And they continue to grow because they read. As parents, as teachers, and as students, you can direct your own growth and learning. That's what I want to tell you today. I'm asking you to read because if you want to become accomplished, you want to become successful in life, you need to read. The more you read, the better you become. You shape your own value systems. You shape the person you're going to become. You are all responsible readers. You can ask us questions. We're there to guide you. But the right to read is going to be something that I want, not just for children of kindergarten starters or GEM schools. I'm going to push this through the world. Like I told our panelists this morning, we're twinning with 14 schools in Malawi, in Bangladesh, in Singapore, in US, in India, several countries around the world. And I want every child, if we have learned something good or if it's something working for us, then it should be shared freely with the rest of the world. Everywhere we can impact, we must do that, because we have only a certain time in our professions, in what we do on this earth. And the only legacy we can leave our children is to give them all of the stories that we have experienced through our life on earth, so that they can learn from what we have learned for whatever time we are here. So thank you all for coming in today. And this week is going to be a promising week with lots of authors, lots of leaders, lots of principals, lots of alumni from around Dubai and elsewhere, ex-teachers who are going to read to you from India or wherever they are now. I've called in every single person who is willing to spend some time to read to you. So have a great week. And thank you, Agaro. Thank you, Sheetal and Nina, for being with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so